as you understand, like so Datacap is a tool, one of these IBM tool, ECM capturing tool. So using the Datacap, just we can capture the data from the documents. Okay. So basically, the Datacap is just developed using that a Microsoft .NET. It's a tool, and it's one of the component for the capturing the data from the documents. So here in the demo part, so what I will discussing about that a data cap, what is the data cap, and it's a capture terminology, and the big picture of that data cap capture, like on the components and products, and what are the use cases, and what are the applications can be built and default, and what are the architecture of the data cap, and how you are going to the deploy an application for the in the client or server. So these are the whole items just we can discuss in the demo part. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah. So basically, so the data cap is developed using that Microsoft .NET. So basically, just we are not using that a .NET for the like a coding part here. So basically, the data cap has built some kind of a pre-built or in cap is not related to any coding language. So we are not going to write any single line of code here. So here the IBM already has developed a number of functions, like we can call these are integrated in the Datacap system. So based on your business requirement and the client requirement, just we need to manage the actions based on the workflow or business.
So I think you started the point. So just I'm giving a use case. So regarding the data cap, so where we can use. So for example, so whenever just we have required to take a loan from any, so just we need to submit some kind of documents like in something passport or SSN number, confirmation number like that. So what the data cap will do, the data cap will scan the document from the input sources from various sources and from various sources. So the data cap will extract the data from the document, and we can digitalize the data along with the document. So here in the data cap, just we are integrating that n number systems like content manager, FileNet, CM8, and we can also export the data into CSV. And there are many other sources as well. So coming to the data cap terminology, so we have 11 elements in the data cap. So if you can learn about that all the 11 elements, so we have enough for the data cap development part. So initially, just we are starting with the image acquisition. The image acquisition is nothing but, so this is the input sources. So for example, so some they will scan the documents through scanners, and they will provide some kind of documents via mail. So maybe say they have some, they will provide some kind of documents from the some input sources subfolders. So this is called image acquisition, from where you are getting the documents to process the documents into data cap. So this is called that image acquisition. So like a scanning. And coming to the page identification, the page identification is the one of the major parts in the cap. So the what is the page identification does means, so what are the documents a customer scanned from the document? The data cap will try to identify that document related to which document. For example, if you scanned a passport document to the data cap, the data cap internally will identify that scanned document as a passport, like it's a birth certificate kind of thing. So for that identification, we have number of techniques we are using, that is the barcode identification and pattern matching, and we are using some kind of OCR engines to extract that data from the document, and based on the data, just will identify that document type, and based on the position also, just we are able to identify that particular document which is scanned from the data cap. So for example, some of the customers will assign a barcode, treats it as a document type. For example, say will the passport document, and they will attach some kind of barcode to identify that. Based on the barcode, just you can identify that the particular scanned document as a passport. So coming to the pattern matching, the pattern matching is nothing but, so based on the logos. So for example, if you are applying, for example, if we have a application document, application document for the any bank. So the bank logo also just we can identify that particular document related to this bank or any related vendor or something. So based on the position also just we can able to identify that particular document related to some kind of document type. So this is called the page identification. So based on the page identification, nothing but the data cap able to identify the particular document related to which document type. And coming to image enhancement, whenever a user document via data cap, if the document scanned document have some kind of a noise or line something in that, so data cap have some kind of techniques to clear the data from the scanned document. So this is called image enhancement. Once you scan, if you can remove that unwanted data from the scanned document, so we can extract that actual data from the document. So for that, just we have image enhancement concept in the data cap to clear some kind of noise or remove lines kind of things in the data cap. And coming to the document assembly, the document assembly is nothing but, so what are the documents? For example, if we have a application documents we are scanning into the document, and in the application documents we might have the number of pages in that document. So for example, the first page have some kind of data, personal data, and page you have some other data. So the data cap also it will identify that a particular application form might have the four pages in the same document, and data cap it will identify and it will assemble for the particular document which is scanned by data cap. So this is called document assembly. Coming to recognition, the recognition is nothing but, so what are the documents we have scanned in the data cap and able to identify the document type related to which document type based on some identification techniques. So after that, data cap will also enhance the image quality based on the image enhancement tools. So after that, the recognition is will extract the data from the scanned document. Like for example, if the scanned document have that customer name, so the data cap will identify the customer document and it will assign field. And for that, in the recognition part, data cap have number of engines like OCR, ICR, and OMR. So there are number of engines is available to extract the data from the document. The OCR nothing but it is a computer generated document like machine printed document. So this is called OCR data. So using that OCR engine to extract the machine printed document using the data cap. And ICR means it is nothing but using that ICR engine, we can able to extract the data which is manually written. For example, signature and anything which is written by manually. So that is ICR. So we can use that ICR to extract the data which is written manually. So there are the other engines also available in the data cap. That is OMR. So optical marking recognition is nothing but, for example, if you have any check boxes in the data cap in the scanned document, the data cap will identify that particular data and it will also extract that data from the scanned document. So this is called the recognition. And coming to the fingerprinting, the fingerprinting is nothing but, so it is a one of the part of recognition, and the fingerprinting is nothing but, so based on will extract data. So what we will do, so whenever we are scanning the document into the data cap, in the development part, we will tell to the system, so this is the position of particular field value. So based on the position, it will extract the data. So basically, the fingerprinting will be used for only structured document. For example, if you can take any bank, so the application form for the new customer or new account will be the same for all the customers. So for that, it is a structured document for every customer. So on that particular scenarios, just we can use the fingerprinting because that position of the data is same for every customer, for the new customer. So in that scenarios, just we can use the fingerprinting, but fingerprinting is not applicable for the all the documents because it is only for the structured documents. So then coming to that a locating data. So locating data is nothing but, so for example, if you can take that application form as an example. So what DataCap will try to do, so DataCap will try to identify that, for example, the DataCap want to extract the customer name from the document. So the DataCap will try to find out that customer name on the document. It will try to find that the customer name is available in the document. It will try to find out that value from the document, like based on that left value or below value or right value. So it will once that customer name as a key, it will identify it from the document. So the data type will try to find out that right word and it validate it, and it then only it will assign to the field. So this is called the locating data. So in the locating data, we're not only you're using that keyword, also have feasibility using that regular expressions. For example, if you want to find out that invoice number from the document, so we can also use some kind of regular expression to get the data from the a particular scanned document. So this is called a locating data. So then we're coming to the validation. So validation is nothing but, so for until that locating data, just we are automated process. So once the user scans the document from the using the data cap, and it will identify, it will enhance the document automatically, and it will recognize the data automatically. And for example, if you are using the locating data, also it will automatically locating the data from the data cap. But in the after that recognition, so data cap also have a feasibility to validate the data. So for example, if you data cap extracted the mobile number, for example, based on the Indian rules, so we have the 10 digits of mobile number. So be validated from the data cap. So we can also apply the validation rules in the data cap to validate that extracted data from the data cap. So for example, if you want to verify the data from any external databases also, we can validate and we can compare using that, compare the data using that data cap validation rules. Okay, so then coming to the verification. So once the validation is done, the verification is nothing but, so what are the data we are extracted from the data cap, and we have a feasibility to user verify the data. And for that, we have a number of client user interfaces, that is web-based and a desktop-based. So before that 9.0 DataCap versions, we have called the tmweb.net for the user verification. It's a web-based client application. And after that 9.0, just we are integrating that DataCap into ICN. This is called IBM Content Navigator for the web user interfaces. This is a rich user experience to validate the data or verification the data from which is the document data extracted from the DataCap. And also we have another feature for the desktop users. We have that is called DC desktop. Using the DC desktop also we can verify the data which is extracted from the DataCap. And the export part is one of the major important things here. So what are the data were extracted from the document is the metadata, and we can export the document into some repositories like a subfolders, like a FileNet, like CM8 repositories, DB. And this is the one of the feasibility to export the documents along with that metadata to some content external repositories, like to metadata into CSV, XML, text file, and also just we can export the document into a subfolder or basically just in the data cap we will integrate that export we will integrate the data cap exports into a FileNet, that is called IBM FileNet, to store that digital document in that content repository. So that is called exports. So coming to the routing, so that routing is nothing but, so for example, we have extracted the data from the data cap and we have already validated it. So we have a routing concept here to skip the process. For example, the particular document no need to verify from no need to go for verification. So we can directly export into some other repository without verification. So for the skipping purpose, just we can use that routing. So in the routing, there are the number of concepts is there. So just we can explain into that further concepts. Yeah. So if you have any questions, just you can raise that. So just I can explain here.
I'm fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as for the data process, so basically, as per the data cap, so we can get that documents from the number of resources like sources, like it might be a scanner, like it might be a input source folder, it might be a mobile devices, and it might be a fax, and it might be emails. These are the sources we can give that inputs to the data cap. And once the input documents has given to the data cap, so the data cap will transform the data using that number of techniques, like for the identification, like extraction, and like and all. So transfer the data, and it will deliver to the data to the other external repositories like FileNet, CM8, or BPM services, and case management. So specifically, some of the customers, they will use the case manager for the manage the business to process the document from some position to another position. So this is that a data cap main purpose of the data cap. So they can get that document from the other several resources, and they will transform the data, and they will deliver to the data to the other external resources. Coming to the source, so they have a data cap has the feasibility, like we can give that input source from like several types, like already we had discussed. So basically, some of the users, they will scan the document also, and we have that some data cap a mobile application to integrate that data cap server, and we can scan the documents via mobile, and we can give the input sources to data cap. So this is the one of the features we have given that in the data cap recently. So that is called data cap mobile application. So we have, and also just we have MFT devices. So these are the high speed scanners. So they will scan the thousands of documents per hour to the data cap. So after the data cap will transform the data, and it will deliver. So like that, we have fax servers, and network shared folders, and emails, and multifunctional devices, and a desktop scanners. So a small kind of scanners. Using all the sources, we can give the documents as an input to the data cap. Coming to the identification techniques, so discussing something about that identification technique. So we have a number of identification techniques here in the data cap. So that is that separator sheets. Separator sheets nothing but, so for example, you have a number of documents you are scanning into the data cap. So using the separator sheets, the data cap will identify that a document scanned documents. So basically, what the user will do, users will put for each document to separate each document. So data cap will automatically identify that the documents using that separator sheet. So separator sheet might have some barcodes basically. So based on the barcodes, the data cap will identify the documents. And coming to the pattern recognition, so we have already discussed it. So based on the logos and all, so data cap will identify the document. And the keyword techniques, the keyword is nothing but, for example, the has scanned invoice document. So invoice might have that invoice word on the document. So data cap will try to find out that the invoice word on the document. So based on the invoice, so the data cap will treat it as a invoice document. And coming to the fingerprints is nothing but a structured document. So if the structure is matched for the data cap, so data cap will identify the documents based on the fingerprints. So coming to that extraction part, so I think that you can see the kind of a sample invoice data here. In the invoice data, You can see that the invoice number and the date and all. So you can see that invoice word here. So Datacap will try to find out that invoice word from the document, and it will treat as an invoice document. So for example, and also we can see that address and invoice number and date. So using that OCR and ICR techniques, we can extract the invoice document and it will assign to the particular field. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, coming to the data transformation. So basically, so we are the Datacap will extracting the data from the document, and here you can see. So we can export the document into several content repositories, external repositories. So that is FileNet Content Manager and IBM CMA, on demand. You can also export the document into SharePoint, and also if you want to export any document into a repository, also a external repository, just we can export it. And if you want to export the data into database or any other applications, or if you want to give that data into any external services, and if you want to export the data into IBM BPM also, just we can export that data once the transformation is completed from the data cap. So if you can see, once the from the document, and it will document, and it will automatically extract the document from the data cap, and it will also validate the data from the data cap, and this is that verification process. So basically, user will pick the batches from the data cap to verify the document, and if you can see that the scanned document from the left side, and we can this is that field values. So users can able to compare the data from the wrong from the document, and it is wrongly extracted by the data cap. So have the ability to manually in the data for the particular field, and they can also validate it. So if you are seeing that the pickup location is the one of the field, if you can see that this is the yellow layer, so does mean it is not captured properly, means it is low confidence value. So this is the one of that options here in the data cap. So before verification, if it is low confidence, it will assign some kind of color code. If it is a red, it means it's incorrect data. So some kind of a color coding also just we have an available in Datacap extraction process. Okay, so this is the complete Datacap process. So what the Datacap will do? So this is coming from the image acquisition, like various resources, and it will identify the document related to which document you have scanned, and it will extract the data from the document. So what are the data you require, and it will validate, and the user will verify the data, and once the verification is done, the data will exported to another external resources along with the document and data. So coming to some of the use cases, in the Datacap we have some kind of a workflow. So applications we might have the same workflow. This is a standard workflow. So if you want to customize the workflow, also it can be. So basically, if you are following that the basic workflow in the Datacap. So that is that initially they have started with an input document, like you can scan the documents or invoices from the import document from the other devices, and will identify the documents pages, and we will recognize the data using that OCR or ICR engine, and we can validate the data and verify the data, and we will export into a FileNet or ESM systems. Okay, so basically, so coming to the okay. So for example, we have kind of data which is unstructured. For example, if you can see invoice document, we can see that invoice data, and we can see that invoice date. This is the structured data. But some of the cases, some of the customers, they have some kind of reports. For example, if you can see that company annual report, in that have that particular year have some kind of income kind of thing. So this is called a unstructured data. So in the Datacap, we have a cognitive solution, a cognitive capture solution to get that structured data from the unstructured data. So this is called a cognitive capture. A cognitive capture is the external solution in the Datacap. It's the licensed software, And we can also integrate that data cap to cognitive capture to extract that a structured data from the unstructured documents. If you can see the sample here. Okay, so in the DataCap application development, so whenever you install the DataCap components into the server, DataCap is providing that a free-defined built application. So, for example, the DataCap APT is the one of the applications. So, accounts payable technology. Like, for example, any customer they want to process the invoices or invoice orders in DataCap. So we have already existing application, a DataCap APT application. We can use directly to the customer to process the data invoices or orders into the DataCap. Okay, if you want to process any kind of medical claims document, we have already pre-existing application that is called medical claims to process the a medical claims application into a DataCap. So these are the predefined applications in the DataCap. And if you want build a new application in DataCap, we can use these are the existing applications as a reference. Okay, you can based on this you can build a new application. Okay, this is the one of the advantages here in DataCap. Okay, so coming to the DataCap architecture and components. Okay, in the DataCap we have a number of components here. So the DataCap, we have a DataCap Studio. Like for example, you are developing any application using that in .NET. So we have a Visual Studio is that a IDE tool. So like that, we have a DataCap Studio to develop a new applications in the DataCap system. Okay, so like that we have the number of components. So like DataCap Studio and DataCap Desktop and databases, content navigator here. So this is a basic architecture diagram I am giving. So in the further demonstration, do briefly about the each and individual component. Okay, so basically the DataCap system will work based on the DataCap server. So the DataCap server is the one of the main components here. The DataCap server will authenticate, authorize the user. Okay, so once the authentication is done, so then only the DataCap will process that remaining process like identifying or extracting something. So whenever you configure a DataCap application, so we need some databases. So basically, just we require two major databases. That is admin database. The another one is engine database. The admin database is nothing but it will store that user data or permissions, privileges, and workflow related things, and all we will store into the admin database. Coming to the engine database, the engine database will store that all the batch data. So what are the documents you are processing? So it will store that batch number and batch data kind of things. Just we are storing into that engine database. Okay, so and we have the one of the major component here that is called maintenance manager. So this is the one of the component in the DataCap. So the maintenance manager will monitor the DataCap application. So whenever, for example, the data, for example, if you are scanning the document from the DataCap, so we have a period. For example, if you want to delete that 1 month old data, the maintenance manager will take care of that. And for example, if any batch was unexpectedly aborted or something cancelled, so the maintenance manager will identify and it will give that notifications to the user based on the business logic. Okay, so these are the important components here in the DataCap. So so after that, just I will explain each and every component briefly. Yeah. Do you have any questions, Atul?
No, right.
Yeah, so this is that about the DataCap, Atul. So basically, this is a complex architecture here, but I will explain you that individually so that you can understand that so what are the architecture will be.
Perfect. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think we're done. So if you have any questions, also just you can write so that just we can discuss no issue.
So what's the difference in Datacap Studio and Fast Talk?
Sorry.
So I see that we have Datacap Desktop, Datacap Studio, and Fast Talk.
Yeah. Okay. 1 second. Just I will open that. Yeah, here, right? So here you can the Datacap Studio is that one of the it is using for any Datacap application. Okay. So for example, if you have already existing application, but you don't want to use that, so based on the business requirement, just you need to create a new application, and based on the business requirement, just you need a custom application. So if you want to develop any application, so we can use the Datacap Studio. So using the Datacap Studio, we can customize the application. So based on your business requirement. And we have the FastDAC is the one of the development environment. It's a rapid development environment. You can use that existing pre-built actions, but you cannot customize it. Okay. So existing pre-built actions, it is satisfying your business requirement. Use the FastDAC application, you can create a new application.
So I can use both Datacap Studio or Fast Talk to create new application.
Yes, but customize the application, but you need to go for Datacap Studio. You no need to customize the application. You can use the predefined actions or rules. You can use the FastDAC to create a new application.
Okay. And the Datacap Desktop.
Yeah. So Datacap Desktop is nothing but it is the desktop-based application. So in the Datacap, we have two kind of client user interfaces. One is the web-based interface. The another one is desktop interface. So the Datacap Desktop is for a desktop Windows desktop interface. It's a kind of Windows application.
Okay. So using that, do I need to develop any Windows-based application, or where do I use it?
Sorry?
Where do I use it? Like to create any desktop application?
I didn't hear you.
Where do I use it? Do I need to use it to create any desktop application?
No, this Datacap Desktop is for only user interface.
Is it provided by Filenet?
No, it's provided by Datacap.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so let me show you that. Maybe just you can understand. So maybe just you can understand. So you're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So welcome to IBM Content Navigator.
It's not refreshed.
Okay, 1 second. Hello, Atul?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the user interface, web-based interface for the Datacap user. Okay, so this is called IBM Content Navigator.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the external application, but we can integrate with the Datacap. Okay, so for example, I'm logging into that system. So you can see that this is the user interface for the user. So these are these we called a batches. So what are the documents they have scanned from the Datacap, so they can review it here. Okay, so this is the verification. So here you can see the document, the left side, and you can see that what are the data extracted using the Datacap. Okay, so they can validate it, and they can also manually enter, and they will submit it. So they can also validate, and everything can be done here. So this is called a Datacap user interface. Okay, and also we have the desktop interface, that is DC Datacap Desktop here. Okay, so this is that Datacap desktop interface for the desktop users, not web users. So just I'm login. So here you can see the number of applications here. So from here they can verify and they can do everything here. So they can verify the same thing, but that is that IBM Content Navigator for web-based user interface. So here you can see that this is for desktop users. So same theme, we can see the documents and we can have the fields here and they can extract the tip and they can submit it. Okay. So this is that DC desktop for desktop users.
There is no difference in functionality. Either user can use either desktop or the web version, the Content Navigator.
Yes.
So this what I see that it's all on-premise application, right?
Sorry?
It's all on-premise, like Datacap server or maybe FileNet Content Manager should be like on-premise servers of any organization. So is FileNet moving towards that cloud where you just opt for the service and you can do everything?
So basically, the Datacap users won't use that FileNet first of all. So from the data, we export the document into FileNet. That's it.
No, my question is, I understand that it's a suite of software from the FileNet, and Datacap can insert the information into FileNet Content Manager, right?
Yes.
But my question is the Content Manager and everything that I see that at least in my organization, I see that it's on the servers, data organization servers. Is FileNet moving towards the cloud where you don't need to install anything, FileNet server, or you don't need database, everything should be in the cloud?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. So once you move that to, just you're asking that once you move the Datacap servers to cloud, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, once you move the Datacap servers into cloud, no need to install anything. Already, all the components are already installed in the server, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I understand that is that organizations doing it. Is the FileNet providing that? IBM is providing that kind of information, that kind of feature?
Not.
So IBM has on-premise solution to FileNet, but is IBM is going towards moving FileNet towards cloud?
Yeah. Yeah, about the Datacap, I think just you can move that server to cloud, so no need to install. If it is a new server on the cloud, so just we need to install that. Okay, but the Datacap has that distributed environment architecture also there. So like the each component we can install into the each server in the distribution environment architecture. So that's also just we need to integrate all the servers between all the components as well. But as per my experience, we didn't move that servers into a cloud before, but just we have provisioned the new servers directly into the cloud.